Ara et tenim. Consellera, Rector, representatives of all Eutopia universities, dear all, welcome to the City Hall of Barcelona. Allow me to start by expressing how honored we are and we feel to welcome the Eutopia Alliance in this building, which is home to the city's government. Barcelona's European vocation has a long-standing history. We have been involved in shaping a more social, greener, and livable Europe since the return of democracy in Spain, so it's a long time ago. And we are actively involved in all relevant policymaking processes at the EU level. But we would be wrong to think that Barcelona's Europeanism is only about what the city's government does with regard to Brussels. In fact, the opposite is true. The City Council's work can only be truly meaningful if the city's main actors lead ambitious projects that bring European citizens closer. That is the value of Utopia, and such is the relevance of the work the Pompeu Fabra University is doing with its European partners. To all of you, I want to convey the support of the Barcelona City Council to your efforts. European universities are indeed one of the oldest kind of institutions contributing to build shared knowledge and a common understanding of reality, transcending borders across the continent. In fact, if we look at what has happened over the last decades, I cannot think of other European programs that have been more successful than the Erasmus program in building a true sense of belonging, that is, a notion of European citizenship. Universities are central to the European project, and Utopia is, in my view, how the future of European universities should look like. And I would like to acknowledge here also the presence of the University of Warwick in UK. Barcelona shares this vision of a strengthened network of European universities as a means to bring together European students and researchers. As a matter of fact, Barcelona is the second city in Europe with the largest number of European university consortia. And I am pleased to know that those different groups are not competing among themselves, but are rather able to create synergies for the common good. In this context, I would also like to thank the team at Pompeu Fabra University for axing this year's Utopia Week around the theme of planetary well-being. I know the university's leadership, and in particular Professor Josep Lluís Martí, is doing an excellent work on this topic. We are living through troubled times that will require all our knowledge and also all our political will to face the existential challenges we have on the social, the climate, and the digital fronts. Utopia's work on these issues clearly goes on the good direction. So once again, let me welcome you all to this City Hall and wish you an excellent and productive Utopia's Week in Barcelona. Thank you very much.
Good morning, audience. My name is Judy Lopera.
And I am Javier Moreno. We are both UPF students and Eutopia participants.
Utopia in action. What a powerful statement in so few words.
Today, we are here to welcome you to the 4th Utopia Week that Pompeu Fabra University has the honor to organize. This is a special Utopia Week, as it is the first time that we all meet in person since the pandemic began to discuss the present and the future of our beloved alliance.
You may wonder why we have chosen Utopia of Planetary Well-Being and Utopia in Action as our mottos. We are more than happy to explain you why. Planetary Well-Being is one of the most important initiatives of Pompeu Fabra University. With this, our aim is to equip this institution with a vision committed to tackling the major challenges facing global society in the 21st century, generating transformative energies to reshape both the university and its urban environment. The Planetary Well-Being Project draws its inspiration from other international initiatives, such as the Planetary Health Alliance, and we look forward to collaborating with you, Utopia Alliance universities, in this area. Your voice on this issue is very important, so we invite you to actively join the Utopia Week with us and to work on potential initiatives, helping to build a better world and a better planet towards a sustainable future.
Also, as you may have read on the tote bags we gave you, Utopia in Action is central to this Utopia Week and to Utopia in general. By Utopia in Action, we refer to action in building an inclusive higher education model beyond everything we have known so far. Action in adapting to today's world, to the changes that not only our cities, but also our planet need. Action to accompany this project in its process and growth, which we have seen to be born and which has taught us that a transversal change is possible from within. A change in which the essential role of education influences aspects as important as sustainability, internationalization, inclusion, and all those values that makes us and will make us empowered citizens. In a world where the commitment to what surrounds us is becoming stronger, taking action is essential. For this reason, for Utopia, action means that this is a living project in constant evolution that grows with us and that glimpses a motivating and exciting future. We know that there is no single solution, but we are sure that Utopia is one of them.
We, as students, have collaborated, doing our bit to shape this universe. That makes us feel that we are part of something important and that we, as students, have a voice for the future. And this is only the beginning, right, Javier? Welcome to UPF Utopia Week. Welcome to change. Welcome to the action. Thank you very much.
Now, we will listen to a fine speech by José Manuel Pingarrón Carrazón, General Secretary of Universities from the Government of Spain, who couldn't attend this event, but we are very happy to show you a video. Thank you.
Dear participants of the Utopia Week and dear members of Utopia University, first of all, let me excuse for not being able to meet you personally as I had wanted, but mandatory agenda problems avoids me to travel in this moment. Utopia is an next example of how the general concept of European universities can become true, in a concrete project that gathers some of the crucial components of an envisioned European university: education, research, placemaking, inclusion, internationalization, sustainability, and dissemination. For instance, the Utopia educational model aligned with a challenge-based approach and focusing on application of knowledge and theory to real-world processes is one of the most innovative pedagogical models used in higher education, which, together with a research mobility program to foster research collaboration and joint research activities, should allow addressing both global and local challenges, advancing towards excellence and inclusion. Currently, 24 Spanish universities participate in 24 alliances, involving 152 higher education institutions from a total of 30 different countries, with sometimes different legal university framework and academic quality accreditation procedures. The Spanish government, and particularly the Ministry of Universities, is fully committed with the participation of Spanish universities in such alliances, mainly through two types of actions. One of them is our commitment with the co-funding of the alliances. So, both in the ministry budgets of 2021 and 2022 years, an item appears with more than 3.5 million of euros each year to aid for the functioning of the Spanish universities in the respective European alliances. The second action deals with the legal framework to which the official degrees or masters arising from European universities should be phased. In fact, the Spanish Royal Decree 822 from 2021 year, that establishes the organization of the university teachings and the quality assurance procedure has a specific additional provision for the joint international university teachings in the framework of the European Universities Programme of the European Commission. In summary, this normative foresees and allows a specific way for the accreditation and management of those teachings arising from the activities of the funded consortia. In this context, the National Agency for Quality Accreditation and Evaluation, ANECA, and the regional quality agencies will accept automatically the evaluation performed by any quality agency enrolled in the European Quality Agencies Register, EQUAR. In addition, the universities will be able to use the European approach for quality assurance of joint programs in the different steps of the official degrees evaluation. All these actions, and those may come considering the initiatives foreseen in the new call of European universities at the end of this year, have as a main goal stressing the relevance, the importance that these projects, an excellent example of which is the Eutopia University, has for Catalonia in this case, and for the whole Spain, for the whole state, for the teachers, students, researchers, and of course, for the citizens and the whole society. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Now, we would like to give the floor to Victòria Alsina Burgués, Minister for Foreign Action and Open Government of Catalonia from the Generalitat of Catalonia. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bon dia a tots, benvinguts. Magnífic rector, tinenta d'alcaldia, president of the network of this Eutopia that is bringing all of us together today, regidores i regidors, estimats amics i amigues, dear students that are joining us in this room. I'm deeply grateful to have the opportunity to share with you this moment that I think it's a very special moment for all of us. And I want to start saying thank you for the work that you have done, all the organizations that made this possible. First of all, thank you to the European Commission, and a special thank you to all universities that are part of this alliance, and of course to all professors, researchers, and students that work together as part of this joint venture. I'm also very proud to say that UPF, Universitat Pompeu Fabra, is holding and organizing this week that I think that it will be a very exciting week that helped to launch what we can say finally a face-to-face meeting as part of this network that has been working a lot during the pandemic, and I think that now it has a special value that we can see all face-to-face. So it's really a pleasure to have all of you here with us. UPF is one of our top universities. We are really proud that they are part of these networks, and I know by heart, I only spent 10 years of my life in that university, my alma mater, undergraduate, doctorate, so I know how powerful it is and the platform that this will bring to this coalition. I think that initiatives like this one are part of what Europe needs to be in the future. So I think that this is the kind of right steps that we need to move forward to make it happen, when we think it should happen, right? That is take a major lead in the global challenges that we have, challenges that we all share, and challenges in which the key role that the universities can play is growing year after year. Knowledge transfer will be an important piece of us, but even more important than that, to involve the students from the very beginning to have an active role as part of these problems. So I think that this platform that brings us together today want to encourage all the students to share their voices and to participate in what we think it should be a bottom-up European Union. And I think that the opportunity to participate in this network and all the opportunities that this network will grow in the forthcoming years is something that we cannot miss. I want to encourage all the students that are in this room today and the students that are connecting online and the students that will join the other activities that are happening, that you really use this as an opportunity to make your voice heard as part of this conversation and to share what you think is important. If we discovered something during this pandemic, it is precisely that we need to work together and that we need to collaborate and that we need to use the collective intelligence that is around to solve these challenges. I want also to share with the students that I'm entirely sure that your CVs, your curriculums are not only the formal activities that you do, not only the programs that you study, but also all the activities and all the experiences that you will bring with you at the end of this journey. And being part of this network, I think it is one of these experiences that you want to have, that you want to experience, and that you want to learn from. Let me just connect this great event and this opportunity to a couple of important things that will happen in the forthcoming months and in 2022. In 2022, it will be the European Year of the Youth. And I think that this is relevant because it's the excellent opportunity to put in value what Eutopia represents as a platform that embodies and connects all the values that we need as an ideal to do this celebration. I think that this also connects well with the conference on the future of Europe that already started and will go on in the forthcoming months. This is a conference in which the different countries, regions, cities, institutions, universities, and overall, all European citizens will have the opportunity to participate and bring their ideas about the future they want for the Union. So I think that these initiatives also fit really well as part of that. I won't be long. I just want to finish saying that I'm really grateful to be part of this event and to welcome you all in the name of the government of Catalonia. We are on the other side of the square and we are really happy also to be here in the Barcelona City Council. And I should say that as part of my duties as the Minister of Foreign Action of Catalonia, I cannot understand foreign action without the collaborations with the civil society. That's the most important piece of what we need to do. And as part of that, I think that academic diplomacy and what brings us together here is one of the most important things that need to happen. So I'm really honored to be part of this initial event, and I want to finish, say congratulations, and also for the people that are visiting us, please enjoy Barcelona, enjoy Catalonia, and return soon. So thank you so much. Moltíssimes gràcies a tots.
Thank you very much for your inspiring words. Now we're going to give the floor to Eva Wiberg, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Gothenburg and President of the Eutopia Alliance.
Dear Deputy Mayor of Barcelona, Madam Minister of Foreign Affairs and Open Government of the Catalan government, Mr. Secretary General for Universities of the Spanish Ministries of Universities, Madam Director General for Education, Youth, Sport and Culture of the European Commission, you will hear her soon, dear Presidents of Eutopia Universities, my dear colleagues, dear Vice Presidents, dear colleagues, and especially dear students and friends. It is a striking experience to see us all together in person here in Barcelona. For the first time in so many months, the virtual life has been experiencing it's safe but undoubtedly poorer than its natural life. With all of us gathered in such a beautiful place, even if we still essentially hide our faces with masks. Let me thank you all for this immense pleasure of being here. As you know, Eutopia is one of 41 alliances in the EU. Even if we feel special and perhaps are somewhat special, but we are not specialized universities, but we are comprehensive universities. We're not elite-oriented universities only, but we are committed to the culture and economic inclusion of all the social categories. We are engaged in excellence in education and research. And one last characteristic that I would like to mention is our institution's relatively youthfulness, either because they were created between the late 50s and the 90s, or because they, as mine, underwent structural transformation processes in the same period. And transformation is perhaps the master word of our alliance. Thanks to the European Universities Initiative, the integration process that we are performing means a profound mutation of our institutions. That doesn't mean abandoning a single part of our identity, but including the cultures and best practices of our partners in our enlarged academic usages. With the pilot project Eutopia 2050, with the Eutopia CIF co-fund and the Eutopia train swaths, our common existence is just beginning. We intend to go much further than the work we're doing today, much further. We aspire to stay together for long decades of fruitful work and service to all our communities. We want to offer a better way to prepare for the complexities of a quickly changing world in which we intend to play a crucial part. I want to express my gratitude, my heartfelt gratitude to Barcelona, to its municipal council, its mayor, the Pompeu Fabra University, and its rector, Oriol Amat. You're hosting this 4th Eutopia Week, which means every 6 months we meet, and it will be a significant stage in our journey to complete our goals. All our communities are represented here to work hard on our projects, and for the first time, some of us get to know each other in real life and have side conversations and pleasant informal moments that have been lacking us so much during these last years. And I have a particular thought for those who could not come and follow our meetings online, and I warmly salute them as I salute you. So thank you once again.
Thank you very much, President Wiberg, for your very heartfelt speech. Now we'd like to give the floor to Josep Lluís Martí, Commissioner for Planetary Well-Being and Associate Professor of Law at Pompeu Fabra University. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I start apologizing because I won't be short in my talk, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to say a few things. I will skip just the protocolary part, but thank you, everyone, for being here, authorities, friends, colleagues, students. It's a real pleasure to be with you today here for such an important academic event or inauguration. But the question I want to answer is, why should we all care about planetary well-being? You might be wondering this right now. Why should we all care about this? What the ideal of planetary well-being is. Why should states, cities, and citizens around the world know and care about such a thing? And more specifically, why should universities and alliances of universities, such as Eutopia, feel concerned about this idea at all? Let me try to give a few answers, and I will structure my not-so-brief talk in 4 points. So let me start with the first one. I think at this point of our history, I think it's evident to everyone that we live exposed to gigantic and complex global challenges, even existential threats, as it has been already said, the solution of which do and will require integrated, interdisciplinary, complex, and sophisticated responses from both science and from our political, local, national, and transnational and global political institutions. Yes, I'm talking about this dreadful coronavirus pandemic and about global health in all its other dimensions. And yes, I'm also talking about the terrible and terrifying climate crisis, the effects of which we have just started to experience. But more generally, I'm also talking about the preservation of ecosystems, the protection of endangered species, the fight against the loss of biodiversity, and I'm also talking about fighting against severe poverty and hunger, and also about securing access to clean water and sanitation, and about providing affordable and sustainable energy to all human beings. And I'm talking about nuclear security or about protection from global terrorism. And I'm saying this with a special emphasis from a city that, as many others, has been hit by it. And I'm also talking about the preservation of democracy, as well as the protection of human rights and the enactment of new digital basic rights for everyone. I'm talking about having minimally ethical regulations for the global financial system, but also for scientific, technological, and medical research, regulations that should not be easily circumvented by moving the regulated activities from one country to another. I'm talking about fighting against political corruption, against tax evasion, about promoting workers' rights, gender equality, quality education, and many other aspects of human well-being. 2, as you may have noticed, many of the issues and challenges I've mentioned are directly related with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the so-called 2030 Agenda. And it should be clear by now, only 9 years before the global deadline for achieving at least substantial parts of such SDGs, that all political, economic, and social institutions, including, of course, universities, should be firmly and deeply committed to play their part to pursue such goals. And the ideal of planetary well-being is, of course, related to those SDGs and that agenda. It might be actually seen as a specific commitment, a personal bet, an ambitious effort to try to contribute to promote the SDGs, at least from now to 2030. But planetary well-being is an ideal that goes well beyond that. What planetary well-being exactly is, you might still wondering. Let me share with you the definition that a group of 15 scholars from very different disciplines, such as medicine, epidemiology, economy, philosophy, law, politics, communication, engineering, or even archaeology, gave in the article entitled The Planetary Well-Being Initiative, Pursuing the Sustainable Development Goals in Higher Education. This article came out this year in the journal Sustainability, and it was led by Josep Maria Antó and by Jaume Casals, the former rector of Pompeu Fabra University, who is sitting here, who are definitely the two fathers of this idea, of this adventure. And it was also led by me, and I wish I could say I was the mother of the idea, but what would be a too much important role than the one I played. And it was signed by 12 other colleagues. The definition we proposed in the article was this: planetary well-being is the highest attainable standard of well-being for human and non-human beings and their social and natural systems. This definition assumes that we can hope to flourish in harmony with other human and non-human beings only through judicious attention to the political, legal, and economic, cultural, and social institutions that shape the Earth's natural systems. Integral to the initiative is the idea that identifying strategies that promote planetary well-being requires a combination of impact-oriented and multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary activity. The vision behind this ideal of planetary well-being was triggered or ignited by Jaume Casals and Josep Maria Antó, was then developed and refined by many different researchers at UPF through many discussions and meetings, you couldn't imagine how many, and is now fully supported by the current rector, Oriol, Amat. Let me also recognize and express my gratitude in the name of all of them to the Eutopia Alliance for believing in it and for having adopted it as the main theme for this Eutopia Week, as well as for many other activities in the network. The idea of planetary well-being, if you allow me a brief reference to the genesis, was inspired, as it has been said already, was inspired, but let's call it the older sister idea of planetary health, which came out from a joint initiative in The Lancet, the Rockefeller Foundation, Harvard University, and the Planetary Health Alliance. The authors in a seminal paper published in The Lancet in 2015, the authors of this paper pointed out that the humankind in the 21st century has successfully achieved unprecedented levels of global health and well-being. That's a fact. But paradoxically, we are at the same time compromising or even ruining the planet Earth in which we live. Then it's not surprising that we have these world rock stars of the business sector, you know all of them, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, etc., trying very hard to build rockets to allow us, or at least to allow them, to escape and fly from the Earth to another planet. As it should be obvious to everyone, if we ruin or crack our own planet, no matter how successful our medicine is or may be, the humankind will be lost. Then the vision behind the idea of planetary health is very simple. The health of human beings is not independent, but interdependent, interconnected with the health of non-human beings and the health of the planet as a whole. Planetary well-being is just an expansion of this approach to a more general and overarching array of concerns, one that certainly includes health, but goes beyond it to cover all aspects of value for human and non-human beings. Third point. Why do we need this concept of planetary well-being when we have the concept of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals? Well, first of all, they are not incompatible. They should rather be seen as complementing and supporting each other. The SDGs constitute, in one sense, a more general or encompassing framework, since they integrate a shared and common language we may all use all over the world. When the city of Barcelona, the University of Ljubljana, the government of New Zealand, or a corporation in Ghana, when they all reflect about SDGs and try to take ambitious actions for giving their part in this collective play, they all more or less know what they are talking about. And they can actually talk to each other and share their respective experiences. In that sense, the SDGs provide a universal framework, a common language that we can all speak, and it's invaluable for that. Planetary well-being is, in relation to that common language, our way of approaching and contributing to the 17 SDGs. And it has the advantage, or so we think, of providing an integrated or holistic interdisciplinary approach to them, one that might potentially include other goals that are not part of these 17. On the other hand, the SDGs integrate, as you know, the 2030 agenda. They replace the previous Millennium Development Goals that provided an agenda for 2015. And as we can expect, another different framework will most likely take the post after 2030. In that other sense, the SDGs framework is more limited than that of planetary well-being, since the latter is an atemporal ideal, one that will need to be permanently updated, yes, and that we must acknowledge we will never fully achieve. And yet, it provides an invaluable horizon to understand where we want to go as a humankind, in which direction we want to go. Because only when we know which direction is this, the one we want to take, only then we will really master the knowledge we need to evaluate which should be our next immediate steps. Which brings me to the next and final point. Okay, I'm a very optimistic person, perhaps even pathologically optimistic, but let me be completely honest with you. We are, all of us, as a collective, doing very poorly, very badly. For generations, our stewardship over the earth has failed to take into account the most important dimensions that we now know were crucial for the sustainability and the endurance of the planet. And now that we know much better about them, our political institutions are failing to provide the effective and urgent measures that are desperately needed. Take again the examples of the climate crisis and the pandemic. Just a few days after the COP26 in Glasgow, a new failure of the state governments of the world to coordinate ambitious and decisive action to stop CO2 emissions and other causes of global warming, and to explore how to deal together and collaboratively with the consequences and effects of climate change. When we are still witnessing the patent and abhorrent disparities of the pandemic, for instance, in terms of the number of ventilators or ICUs across countries, or the medical resources and personnel that each of them have, but also on how unfair and uncoordinated has been the distribution of vaccines, or when we have all checked that the WHO, the World Health Organization, has been unable even to propose a single standard, a single metric to count COVID-19 mortality in the same way in every country. We can only conclude that we are failing. We are failing to pay respect to the heritage we have received, even if admittedly it came with its own deficits and shortcomings. And above all, we are failing to leave a better planet to our children and to our future generations. For them, and for the non-human beings whose fate is unfortunately tied to ours and for which we are also responsible. Science has reasonably delivered. We know very much now about what is producing, what are the causes of this climate crisis, and we know quite well what it takes to stop it. Also on the pandemic front, what we have seen in the last year with the design, global production and distribution of vaccines is almost a miracle. And yet, states are proving unable to lead a really ambitious transition to a net zero emissions economy, and vaccines have not been distributed worldwide on the exclusive basis of epidemiological and medical criteria, but mostly on political and economic grounds. Let me add a brief personal note. I mostly teach young people, as many of you, and believe me, as you perfectly know, they are fully aware of the risks we face, the essential existential threats we must deal with, the gigantic challenges we have in front of us. And they are very sincerely, deeply worried about them. In most of my courses, I evaluate their performance on a bundle of items. I ask them to do a number of things, the most important of which is a final essay, a final paper, a policy paper that is practically oriented. I ask them to pick one concrete problem or challenge that might have a global dimension and identify different solutions that they must evaluate and compare against each other before finally recommending one. They write not about how to handle the climate crisis as a whole or about how to stop the pandemic, that would be, of course, too big, But they choose more specific problems. They write, for instance, about a gender gap in the public education in one country of Latin America. These are all real examples. Or about what to do with the Syrian refugees that are trapped right now in Lebanon, a country that is suffering itself very terrible times in the last years. Or about how to promote the building of sustainable housing in certain city, or about how to prevent ageism, you know, the discrimination, age-based discrimination, in certain economic and educative policies in a particular country. They write about these things. I ask them to be creative, to think big, to have a bigger picture of these problems, to be ambitious in the solutions they propose. But I also ask them to identify the actual obstacles that they will confront and to be realistic. And what I see every year, in every course I teach, in almost every paper I read, what is truly moving and heartbreaking is to see how pessimistic and hopeless they end up being. Any interesting, innovative, disruptive solution they may come up with is immediately disallowed by themselves, saying, well, we all know this is not going to happen, ever. Can you imagine? Oh, I'm sure you can imagine because you may have similar experiences. You have all these fresh, young, brilliant minds in front of you, perfectly educated, very well informed, fully aware of the problems we face, and they are heartbreakingly pessimistic. And the worst part is that I can't blame them. Are they perhaps wrong? Do you by chance believe that the next COP, the COP27, will be any different from this one or the previous 25? Do you perhaps think that the next year, 2023, we will change upside down the way we distribute vaccines worldwide? That we will use COVAX as it was actually originally conceived, as a centrally purchasing and distributing of vaccines global service? And with this I come to an end. We all have a special responsibility here, and now I talk about universities in particular. We need to change the way we do research. We need it to be genuinely interdisciplinary and integrated, to have this holistic approach that allows us to understand the complexity of the global existential threats we face and brings us to identify practical solutions. It needs to be impact-oriented. By impact, I don't mean now research that may have more academic citations, but science that may produce changes in the world. And for that to be possible, we need to understand that world and the institutions that operate in it. Otherwise, no change will be possible, and our students will remain hopeless, which I think it's something that it's unforgivable. We need to change the way we teach and educate. We need to address wider and more global audiences. We need to raise awareness and increase the quality of information that inform public debates all around the world. We need to interact much more with governments and political institutions. And above all, we need to disseminate and spread the results of our research and educative programs all over our societies. In the end, and despite all the criticism his statements triggered, former President Barack Obama was right when in the last COP26, he addressed the young audience in the room and claimed, collectively and individually, we are still falling short. We have not done nearly enough to address this crisis. We are going to have to do more. Whether that happens or not, to a large degree, is going to depend on you. And he finished, to all the young people out there, I want you to stay angry, I want you to stay frustrated, but channel that anger, harness that frustration, keep pushing harder and harder for more and more, because that's what's required to meet that challenge. Gird yourselves for a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, this is a marathon, and I think Obama is right in turning our hopes towards the young people, the young activists. But in order for that to be possible, we must all play our part. And here, universities and political institutions are two privileged actors with very special responsibilities. This is, in the end, why we should all care about planetary well-being. And you know what they say. A pessimist is someone who finds a catastrophe in every opportunity, while an optimist is someone who finds an opportunity in every catastrophe. Let's work together to make my students, your students, or the students who are present here, more optimistic again and give them some hope. Their amazing intelligence will do the rest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your enlightening words, Professor. Now we give the floor to Oriol Amat, Rector of Pompeu Fabra University.
Dear Deputy Mayor of Barcelona, Minister for Foreign Action and Open Government of Catalonia, dear Presidents, former UPF Rectors, Vice Presidents, Professor Josep Lluís Martí, I'm optimistic like you. There is no better alternative, no better choice than that. Júlia, Miralles, staff, students, fellows, and friends. On behalf of UPF, let me welcome you to our university and the city of Barcelona. Let me say you some words about UPF, Pompeu Fabra University. Pompeu Fabra is not a location, it's the name of an engineer that nearly 1 century ago, he realized that speaking usually with the family, relatives and so, he discovered that when he had to write there, he had no grammar in Catalan. So he decided to write the grammar that we still have as the basis of our language. UPF is a university committed to culture, to humanities. It's not by chance that the name of the university is Pompeu Fabra. The university was created more or less 30 years ago. It's a very young university. And it's a research university, as the rest of the members of the Alliance. It's a university committed to knowledge. This means creating knowledge through research, transmitting knowledge through education to the students through the programs, and also transferring this knowledge to society. And the final objective of the university is to create a positive impact in society. That's the final objective. And in the Alliance, we are trying to build an European university. That's not easy. It's a long way. But you know that universities face complicated regulations in every country. Imagine trying to combine this in a European university. So it's not an easy way, but I can say that we are enjoying the way, creating a lot of joint initiatives, and I am also optimistic not only with the planet, but also with the Alliance. In connection with this week, Eutopia Week, we have more than 300 people attending in remote or in face-to-face. This Eutopia Week is the 4th, as the President has mentioned. But this Eutopia Week has two particularities. One is it's the first with the 10 members of the Alliance. And another special fact is that it's the first that is, will be done face-to-face. That's amazing, but it's the reality. But we are very happy. Some weeks ago, we were just thinking what can happen with this sixth wave growing. We are very happy also that the main topic of this week is the planetary well-being. Our President has mentioned that the Alliance wants to be special. Also, universities want to be special. And UPF wants to be special, especially in the topic of planetary well-being. We want that this concept is in every program, in many research projects with a lot of interdisciplinarity. And also by now, we are about to start building an important hub. It's called the Mercat del Peix, fish market. That's the original location of that activity. And we think that this will be a hub with more than 1,000 researchers devoted to planetary well-being, belonging to all parts of science. This means medicine, but also sociology, psychology, culture, economy, law, and so on. So that's why we are very happy that the topic of this week is planetary well-being. Finally, I would like to thank Eutopia associated partners. In this case, it's the Barcelona City Hall, also 22 and Incasol for their support in our project. I would like to especially thank Barcelona City Hall for hosting this opening ceremony in such a beautiful place like Saló de Cent. Many people don't know, but here many couples decide to marry in this place. But in the 14th century, this was the place of, the name is Saló de Cent, means room of the 100, because in the 14th century, the city started with an advisory committee as Eutopia. The City Hall of Barcelona had an advisory committee of 100 people belonging to the different parts of the citizens. And this advisory committee functioned from the 14th century to the 18th century. At UPF, we have a lot of humanity faculty that have advised me on that. Well, just to finish, I would say that thank you very much. I wish you a splendid week in Barcelona. Thanks a lot. Moltes gràcies.
Thank you very much, Rector, for your kind words. Now we'd like to give the floor to Themis Christophidou, the Director General of Education, Youth, Sport and Culture for the European Commission. Since she couldn't attend, we'll have her on video. Thank you.
Dear friends, I cannot be with you today, but I couldn't miss this opportunity to address you as you open this Eutopia week at Universitat Pompeu Fabra. This is all the more momentous as you're meeting in person for the first time after almost 2 years of digital interaction. During these 2 years, you have done a remarkable job putting Eutopia together. Your work bringing together talented students, researchers, businesses and civil society across borders is fundamental to address the challenges we're facing, especially considering this pandemic. Together, you're contributing to Europe's recovery, leading change and innovation in this new digital decade, helping put to practice the European Green Deal. You should be proud. Now you're starting to reap the fruits of your hard work. I'm especially pleased to see that most of your connected learning communities are already operational. They will contribute to innovative teaching and to the internationalization of curriculum development in all your universities. Your work on the open innovation challenges is also very impressive, linking local solutions to global challenges. Both of these approaches will be instrumental in achieving the goals we have set out, as you put it, towards planetary well-being. There is no broader challenge nowadays than the well-being of our planet, and I would like to congratulate you for having chosen this topic for the week. This is exactly what is expected from European universities. And it is precisely to support this kind of action, with higher education at the helm, that we are launching the European Strategy for Universities at the beginning of the year. This strategy will become an impact agenda for higher education. Higher education institutions are essential in defining our attitudes and values. Just look at all the work you have done bringing the Sustainable Development Goals into practice in your local communities. With the European Strategy for Universities, we wish to support higher education institutions on these matters, both with our policies and with funding. From helping to integrate education and research for environmental sustainability, to facing climate change and protecting biodiversity, we need the whole learning community to be marshalled and well supported. We also want to bring higher education institutions closer to their industrial and knowledge ecosystems in support for the new industrial strategy and the skills agenda. To that end, we are working together with your community to tackle skills bottlenecks. My friends, let me once again congratulate you all on your achievements so far. From our side, we stand ready to continue to support you. We will ensure the further rollout of the European universities under the new Erasmus Plus program in synergy with Horizon Europe and other EU instruments. We are also planning to support existing and new alliances through new competitive calls as of next year. The first call, open also to the first 17 alliances, including yourselves, will be launched in the coming days. I think you will agree these are great news and they show how much we expect from your work and this initiative. I can only encourage you to keep going. I wish you all a fantastic Utopia week. Thank you.
We appreciate the encouraging words of the Director General, and now we give the floor to Júlia Miralles de Imperial, Advisor on Science and University Policy at Barcelona City Council.
Good afternoon, Minister, Deputy Mayor, Chancellors, Vice-Chancellors, President, and all the authorities and students of the universities that meet here today. I would like to thank you again on behalf of myself and the Barcelona City Council for your kind invitation to host the inauguration ceremony of this fourth Utopia Week. We are proud to host this week of debates and informative sessions here in Barcelona, a city that already is, but also wants to keep growing as a reference of knowledge, science, and universities and research in Europe. Eutopia and the rest of the alliances of the European universities represents the future of higher education. We cannot keep working only at the state or the local levels when the big challenges of our times happen within a global dimension. The planetary well-being, the struggle against climate change, and the look for a more sustainable way of living of human beings with our planet is a crucial challenge, maybe the most important one of our times. Barcelona is working to become a reference on local policies to face the need of transforming our economies, our societies, and public spaces to respect our nature and protect our environment. And this is why it makes us especially happy to have you here, to have this European university like Eutopia working on this issue for a whole week here in Barcelona. I would also like to thank the University Pompeu Fabra for their work on this topic and for their remarkable capacity to lead initiatives that put our city on the top of the big academic and social debates on that moment. As I said before, this meeting also represents the capacity of the city to generate spaces of debate and exchange about academic and research innovation as a city of science and knowledge, to help building synergies between universities, researchers, and the citizenship. From the Barcelona City Council, we are implementing the Barcelona Science Plan from the 6th Deputy Mayor's Office, led by Jordi Martí, who unfortunately could not be here today with us. The Barcelona Science Plan is aimed at launching a science and university policy at the local level and turning Barcelona into a capital at the European level for research and higher education. The plan was drafted through collaboration and consensus between the city, the scientific community, the universities and research centers and groups, and also companies and the residents of Barcelona who participated on its redaction. This plan, that is the guidance of our local science and university policy, is organized into 4 areas: Barcelona, City of Science in Europe; research for taking on the city's challenges; scientific culture for and with the city residents; and science, art, innovation, and society. To have the opportunity to host this Eutopia Week that begins today is a very relevant step to consolidate Barcelona as a city of science, of knowledge, of higher education. So we would like to show one more time our gratitude to the organizers and to all of you for being here today and for enrich the academic exchange of ideas and of innovation. I wish all of you a very good and useful Eutopia Week. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your words and for being with us today on such a remarkable and special occasion. So a big applause for them, right?
We would like to thank all of you for being here today, finding time enough to dedicate both to Pompeu Fabra University and to the Eutopia project. Many thanks, and let the Eutopia Week begin.
Now, we kindly request a photo with the rectors of all of the universities, and we will take a photo here first with our masks on, and later on downstairs in the courtyard without masks, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.